are now tuned in to the Lineman Lounge, the world's thickest sports podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Evo.
Come on, it's time, bitches. This is the Lineman Lounge. I am Mike. That is Evo. And it is Friday night. I am still rocking all my Menor baseball shit, other side of my shirt. We just got done with a game. Good win. But, man, I'm jacked to the tits. I'm still hyped up from the game. I'm very excited to be here. I got a busy weekend. I got a game to break down. I think I'm going to try to get that done on Sunday for PFF. Saturday, tomorrow, I got 3 baseball games. One at 10:30, one at 1:30, and then I coach another one at 3 o'clock, followed by a graduation party. So we're getting a Friday show. My man, Evo, work week's done. How you doing? How you feeling?
I'm doing good, man. I'm glad another week of work down the hatch.
Yeah.
Getting real close to July here, which is where it's really going to get fun and ramp up. What's up, 20? Good to see you, brother. Thanks for checking in. But yeah, look, July is going to be really fun for me, having the boys back here in town for quite a while. Just still getting prepared for that and stuff. Only 2 things real of note mention for me is I still am currently unable to feel my hand right now. I put a garden out in the backyard this year. Nice. And we've been growing things out there. And the lady was out there yesterday watering and everything and starts calling me, freaking out, being like, get out here right now. And I was like, oh shit, some crow probably dropped some other chick's panties in the garden. And now that's
what it was.
She's going to get upset that I'm, got panties in the backyard or some bullshit. No, it's just copious amounts of bugs, like an insane amount of ants. And then as I'm leaving, she freaks out again. And there's a big ass bark scorpion carrying its babies on its back that goes underneath the thing. And she hates scorpions. Well, wouldn't you know it, as I'm getting ready to go to the gym last night, putting on the shoes, I felt a prick on my hand, thought, there was like one of those prickly things on there, and immediately advanced to extreme pain from that. And I handled it like a true gentleman, whipped my shoe across the room and said, what the fuck? And Absolutely. Slowly started feeling the tingling and everything. So a scorpion got me in the hand. I ended up finding the scorpion maybe a half hour later and dismembering it.
Good.
But yeah, still ended up going to the gym and getting the pump on, because we can't allow these things to get to us. But down to the elbow was tingly, couldn't feel anything. And throughout today, it has slowly creeped its way back up towards the tip of the hand. Right now, about half my hand has feeling in it towards, the wrist and that
nice
finger.
Nice little nerve block you got going on.
Yeah, a nice little bit of venom in there. So I'm built different that way now. Might be like Spider-Man or something. We'll see. So that was fun.
Producer Amber here coming in with check the shoes. This is a reference to something that I do not do. I keep my Mo shoes out in the garage.
Mm.
I have never in my life thought about even checking my shoes. Walk outside and put my fucking shoes on. I'm going to go mow the grass. I didn't know it was a thing until her and my sister were like, oh my God, what are you doing? You have to check your shoes. Why? No, I never needed that information. I have never once in my life thought about, I should check this in my shoes to make sure there's not some sort of venomous thing in it. And I don't need that kind of stress in my life. So I'm just going to go with the assumption that it's probably not in there because every other time in my life, it's not fucking been in there. I'll deal with the one time when that happens.
So this is only like the 3rd time maybe that I've had a scorpion in the house because we regularly spray and stuff like that. And I've caught them every other time. I have stepped on one once and had it sting me in like the ball of my foot, but I have a man's foot. It's hard, it's calloused. So it was more like, I just stepped on something pokey and then saw a scorpion, and that was the end of it. That scorpion was dead. And I had no problems like this. This definitely traveled. It was really interesting to me to kind of follow it because I could see the veins in my arm and stuff, and it could follow the veins and be like, this is where the deadening is happening and stuff like that. So that was pretty sweet. Now, as far as checking the shoes, it is a relatively regular Arizona thing that you're supposed to check your shoes for spiders and things like that. And on deployments, those camel spiders do like to make homes in your boot. The good news is that if you're putting a boot on or a shoe, generally you are slamming that foot in there and you're probably killing whatever in there. If you got extra space and stuff like that, then why the fuck are you wearing such big shoes? But I digress. Either way, that's fun. I might be a superhero here before too long. And then I also would be remiss. Congratulations to my lady. She just got a new job today. I'm super
I heard.
yeah, she's going to be an ophthalmic assistant, I believe. It's something with an optometry laser eye center. They're bringing,
So you gotta stop. Those words are way up here, and we're fucking down here, bro. I don't know what that word means.
yeah, ophthalmic assistant. I just tell people that you work for an optometrist. But she's going to be assisting with surgeries and stuff like that. So, baby, super proud of you. Congrats to that job. I know she's super stoked about it, and I'm going to find out real quick if I have a kink for scrubs. But yeah, that's what's going on in my neck of the woods, buddy. But let's hear about some of this youth baseball that's going on up there in Ohio.
Yeah, man. So just had a game, just wrapped up, got another dub, 9-3, and good game. Didn't start out great. Like, energy was high. That's very important to me as coach. It's so hard to play without energy because you have seen, at least I have, and I'm sure in your experience with coaching, when you don't have energy, it's really hard to actually accomplish the things you want to do. You know what to do, but like if you're just kind of haphazard about it, things don't go well. So our energy was great. We were there. But what we decided to do today instead is just not swing the bats for like the first 2 innings. I think we had probably 6 strikeouts looking in the first 3 innings. At least that's what it felt like. Which is way too many. Like we got to swing the bats, but they turned it around. We started swinging the bats. We worked our way back. Actually, Game Changer does this really cool thing where they will give us a recap of the game. So I'm going to go ahead and go through some of this recap. Lineman Lounge, by the way, I'm very happy that we sponsor that team. We're the first to get on the board in the first when I stole home, scoring a run. Ajah Bob took the lead 3-1 in the bottom of the first, thanks to 3 walks. Samuel L. plays on our team, hit a solo inside the park home run in the top of the third. An inside the park home run by Caden gave the Lineman Lounge a lead 4-3 in the top of the fourth. Pitcher Jordan T. pitched 3 1/3 innings in relief. Right-hander gave up 0 hits, 0 runs, struck out 9. So if you were keeping track at home, he pitched 3 1/3, struck out 9. 9 of his 10 outs were strikeouts. That is a hell of a day. Drew H began the game, surrendered 0 hits, 3 runs. Drew struggled finding the plate a little bit, but we got it all worked out. We ended up piling on 10 hits. Let's see who else we got here. We had patience at the plate, 8 walks for the game. We also stole 13 bases in this game. We were manufacturing some runs because we were not swinging the bats. This is the stat that I love the most, even though I don't care when it happens. We had 0 errors in the field. When the ball was hit into the field, we made every single play that we needed to make. So that was awesome. We didn't give up any hits to produce runs. So, man, these guys, they pulled together. They rallied, started swinging the bats. Good things happened. 9-3. We are currently tied for first in our league at 5-1. So, boys, great job. We got a game tomorrow, 3:00, and then another one on Monday, and then next week, Friday and Saturday again, because why wouldn't we slam 5 games in 8 days for 11 and 12-year-old baseball?
Hey, when you're playing, it's fun. As an adult, that sort of a schedule can be a little bit more daunting, as we get tired more easy, but for the kids, that can be a good time, especially when you're a good team like that. And then bringing up the whole motivation effort part of it, it's something that I've seen a lot more, and I keep on seeing this clip kind of rotate through of this baseball coach talking to his players of, I can deal with the strikeouts, I can deal with you making mistakes, this, that, and the other. One thing that I will not ever tolerate is you not giving 1,000%. Like, if you're not out there working your butt off, I'll find someone who will, because things are just going to work better. This team is going to work better. And if you start doing that, you're going to start playing better in general. And that's true in most things in life is you can fail, but if you're failing at your maximum, sooner or later you're going to start doing things right, and you're going to figure it out. And so it's a good life lesson for him.
Yes,
So
it
that's
is.
awesome.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And it's super important. Great job with the boys. But with that, I don't really have anything else sports wise other than we'll be back at it tomorrow. Great job. Very proud of them. I'm tired and I'm starving and I did a beer because I can't smoke a joint while we're here on YouTube. But with that, let's go ahead. Let's transition into some grown people sports. Let's start off in the NBA. NBA finals are taking place. Game 1 happened on Thursday, and Jesus, it was a ass whooping.
Yeah, I hadn't realized Kyrie Irving just does not win against Boston. It's something like 11 straight losses or something like that.
Yeah, Kyrie has a tough time with Boston. Kyrie was in Boston at one point, and then when he left, it has not been a great time every time he goes back into Boston or anytime he has to play Boston. But game 1 looked like the series is basically already over. The energy levels were so drastically different. The Celtics are really fucking good. Did you watch this game? I know that your boys are out, but
no, I only saw the cut-ups and clips and stuff like that, and I did check in, and when I checked in, I saw the score disparity, and I was like, oh, damn, this is nasty already. And it kind of makes me feel really good about that prediction that I had. I think it was on our show with Fatty where we, joined a legal ham to the face, and I predicted that we were going to see a sweep from the Celtics. And look, the way that game was played, if that's going to tell you anything about the series, it could get pretty nasty pretty quick.
Yeah. Couple days rest though in between Thursday and Sunday, which I know the Mavs need. It feels like almost that they have to at least be competitive in game 2 to even consider that this is going to possibly be a series. They didn't come out the way they wanted to in game 1, and it started right from the rip. That first quarter was an absolute trouncing. There's no two ways around it. The Mavs have got to be better, got to play with better motivation, better energy.
I mean, they only had 9 assists the whole game.
They need to make some goddamn shots. That's the
they did a lot of things wrong.
It's the NBA. It's a make or miss league, right? Like you'll hear that a billion times, but it's absolutely true. And the Mavs didn't make enough, but they fucking missed plenty. Like it was tough. It was a tough game. But outside of that, man, I don't got anything else NBA wise to talk about. We'll see what happens Sunday if the series evens up or if it just looks more of the same. But we do need to stay with basketball, and we're going to talk probably about one of our more in-depth topics and one that's kind of sweeping the nation and not necessarily the greatest way. And we're going to go over to the WNBA, and we're going to talk about the Caitlin Clark situation and all the shit that has gone on over the last, week? Probably thereabouts now at this point.
Yeah.
So the dust up that happened in the WNBA between Kennedy and Caitlin, it was a foul outside of the game. Evo, I assume that you've seen this clip. I think everybody at this point has seen this clip. It is a foul outside of the game. It was kind of a shot, right? Like,
yeah,
you don't do that unless you're trying to send a very direct message that I'm going to put you on your ass, right? So that's not great. It's not a good look for Kennedy. It's not what the WNBA probably wants broadcast nationally, right? Because they are growing the WNBA week by week, game by game. There is more people who are showing up, who are watching the WNBA than they ever have before. Caitlin Clark is a big reason for that, okay? But I agree with a lot of the other sentiment that Caitlin Clark is not the only reason for that. However, she is the main reason that all of that is happening, okay? You go back to the national championship game, not national championship game, or the semifinals of what it was, where Angel Reese does the ring thing, lets Caitlin Clark know, and then obviously the story unfolds. They meet again. Caitlin Clark gets the better. Who's going to go 1? And these young women grow the game of basketball through this like rivalry. And honestly, their play styles. Angel Reese is a down low in the box player who's going to be getting rebounds, and she's not going to fill it up from the field like a Caitlin Clark will. Caitlin Clark is the female version of Steph Curry. Now, I know I'm going to freak some people out when I say that. That's a big thing to say. But when Steph came into the league, he didn't play the game like everybody else. He actually kind of changed the way the league played. He's pulling up from 30. You know who else is doing that? Caitlin Clark. Like, I don't dispute the fact that Caitlin Clark's ethnicity and her physical appearance has probably helped her. That is something that has been talked about, and it's probably true. There are people who see things that way. But what Caitlin Clark's game does is it kind of reminds you of a Steph Curry, where she's coming off ball screens, letting it fly from 30, bang, sets every record for scoring across the entire NCAA. So, of course, there is this big, like, oh my God, she's amazing. We've never seen this, right? So I understand why we're getting the push, but it's not just Caitlin. There are way more people that are involved. Caitlin also needs to be tough and deal with the fact that people are going to body you up a little bit more because they're tired of watching you run around free off of screens and hit dagger fucking threes. They watched you do it for 4 years in college. They knew it was coming in the pros, and they put you on your ass. They did the same thing to Steph Curry after a couple of years of realizing, man, he doesn't fucking miss. We have to be physical with him. There a lot of things are happening, and a lot of things are true. That Caitlin Clark is being unfairly treated by some of the players in the league, for sure, because the foul was outside of the game of basketball. That happens, okay? Caitlin Clark needs to be tougher in that aspect. The other basketball players who are part of this saga need to also understand that one of the major reasons that the WNBA has the eyes is because of Caitlin Clark. She's not the only reason, but she is the biggest of those reasons. All of these things can still be true at the same time. They're not mutually exclusive. Now, what happened between the ladies on the court, in my mind, totally fine. The foul outside of, tee her up, kick her out of the game. It's not the first time that we've seen that in a basketball game. We don't need to make a big fucking deal out of it. It happens all the time. Jokic, I'm pretty sure, like, ruined a man's life hitting him in the back. So where are you at on the basketball aspect of this? Because we're not done with the whole Caitlin Clark thing, because we're going to have to talk about the media and the response of what's going on as well. But just on the basketball portion, where are you at?
I mean, obviously that's not a good look for the WNBA, but in a lot of ways, the whole no publicity is good publicity type thing. It is bringing more eyes there. Again, you don't want to see that sort of a foul. Sky Carter obviously went way out of bounds with that, but we are talking about professional athletes. I think that if you were to take a look at the NFL, the MLB, I mean, we've seen this in the NBA and things like that, where, you know, men's sports, where tensions and things happen, guys react inappropriately and get into physical altercations. These things happen and they're penalized and everything, but it's almost like a different scrutiny happening, and that's part of that probably gender, you know, difference between the leagues and an inequality of sorts, if you will, of how we view these sports. But as far as on the court, yes, absolutely, the WNBA is probably having its best ratings ever. I don't know, but I would have to assume that they are just killing it right now. And a large part of that is Caitlin Clark. But of course, you still have Angel Reese and stuff like that. You have, I mean, the odds-on favorite is to win Rookie of the Year is going to be Caitlin Clark, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, you look at other players. In my opinion, Caitlin Clark shouldn't be
not right now.
Rookie of the Year. Cameron Brink is destroying the league, but the eyes aren't on her because there is, you know, this aura around Caitlin Clark and how incredible she was in college basketball and how that's carrying over. And props to it. And this sort of rivalry and grudge match that's happening between all these players, it's a good thing as long as it doesn't get overblown into something that it shouldn't be. This should be just like the rivalries that we see in other male dominated sports. Like, we should be viewing it the same way. It is good for the game. It's good for basketball. It's good for women's basketball. And yeah, that, like, Caitlin Clark is a bit of an enigma for women's basketball right now. And the game is going to adjust to her. And this sort of aggressive play style is only going to increase viewership, people wanting to be a part of the WNBA, have teams, et cetera, et cetera. So it's all a good thing for the game of basketball in the grand scheme of things. Obviously, again, Sky Carter's actions uncalled for, but it is not that abnormal and not that egregious, right? So it's getting a lot of publicity, but I feel like it's getting a lot of publicity because the golden child, as she's viewed, of the WNBA right now was the focus of it. And in reality, this probably happens way more than we know, just because WNBA is not as popular, or hasn't been up until this point.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I 100% agree with you, but excuse me, you kind of brought something up there, like the media and the way things are being done. There's a massive problem with the way the story, in my opinion, is being told, because it's being told from a side of non-sports telling. We're not talking about sports anymore. We're now having a conversation about race in a lot of these aspects, right? So you get, Stephen A. Smith making comments about the women, the WNBA, and how he tries to, put women on and like do good things for women, and they cover the WNBA, and then he gets flamed on the very same segment by one of his co-hosts, who basically says, "No, you're not doing a great job." And then the whole saga continues because it's a black and white thing with Stephen A. kind of defending but not defending, and then you get Pat McAfee on his show on national TV. ESPN has got to be fucking furious with the deal that they signed. I love Pat, but you can't go on national TV and say, and I apologize, I'm going to repeat it, the white bitch from Indiana. You can't say that on national TV. Like, because now we're not talking about basketball. We're talking about the white bitch from Indiana. Why does that fucking matter? I don't understand it. And then the very next day, I did a little paper on this in terms of the way media and communication works. You have a panel on First Take that is very much on the opposite side, where it's, of course, Caitlin Clark gets these benefits. She's white. Well, that panel is an all-black panel. Pat McAfee's show is mostly white people, with the exception of, I want to say,
Pac-Man.
Darius Butler. Is Pac-Man still on, or is
he's been on? I don't know if he's been on recently, but yeah, he's a regular.
We get into these echo chambers where it's one person saying this one thing, and a certain demographic of people watch Pat McAfee, and then another demographic of people are watching Stephen A. Smith and First Take, but we are not having a conversation together about why these things are happening. We're just saying, yes, the Caitlin Clark is getting these benefits because she's white, and where the other players are being looked down upon because they're black. And that very well may be true for some people, like the fucking asshole that shows up to the hotel and harasses the women before their gate. That's obnoxious. That guy, somebody should have gone out there and just kicked his fucking ass, as far as I'm concerned. Like, there's no reason to do that. But this dynamic has turned into one that is not of sports. It is about race, and it is playing out on ESPN, of all places, in individual echo chambers. I don't know why they were still parading this thing around. Let's just call it what it is. Certain people feel certain ways about certain races, and it needs to fucking stop. And it's both fucking ways. Like, it's asinine that we need to even bring up Caitlin Clark's race. It's asinine that we are talking about this aspect of this story. What happened was a basketball play happened by two professional athletes, regardless of male or female. It was outside of the rules. There should have been a fucking penalty and a fine. She should have been kicked out. And then they move on. And it doesn't seem like the narrative about this is changing or going away. This is going to become like a race thing. And I don't understand why.
Yeah, if we just had basically like a stat sheet without names that said player A fouled player B, would there be anything different with this? Like that's all it realistically should be. Now I can't put myself in the shoes of Sky Carter and say why she did it. My reasonable assumption would be that it's more to do with the sport than the race. But who knows? Maybe there is something. At the end of the day, it's an unfortunate.
And in that moment on the court, I guarantee it was about basketball and probably not about race.
Right.
But as soon as it comes off the court, that's what the conversation is.
Right. And that's the thing, is that it's an unfortunate fact of life. Everywhere in this place that we call Earth, there are bigots. There are people with bigoted viewpoints on gender, on race, what have you, religion, doesn't matter. Not everyone is going to see eye to eye, and some people take that way too far. But I would be willing to venture, especially here in the United States, that those people are generally in the minority. And we're talking about more so the extremes of these things in a lot of scenarios. Is this something that has to be reported on as a potential thing? Sure. But at some point in time, it goes from, hey, we're reporting on this, to now we are,
You're
becoming
using the
propaganda.
race. You're using the race to sell a product. And that, in my opinion, is morally fucking wrong.
Yeah, it's propagandizing the situation. So, and look, you could even argue that to this point that we are promoting part of the problem because we're talking about it. Like
it's two white guys in an echo chamber. We're not doing anything different.
Absolutely.
We have to call that out as well.
Yeah, it's just at some point in time, racism will never go away if we don't let it, and we're not letting it. Like, will it always be there to an extent? Yes, but promoting it, and it's not like a direct promotion, but I mean, if we don't remove it from our lexicon at some point in time, it will just remain to be a thing. And again, I don't think that we'll ever, let me throw the dummy thick idiot conjecture stuff here. But at some point in time, like, we have to be willing to move on. Like, I think like racial jokes and stuff like that are funny and everything, but to me, it's a breakdown of humanity. We're all humans, we're all pieces of shit to our core, and we're all good people to our core to some extent. Like, let's make fun of it, call it what it is. But when there's some sort of hate behind it or something like that, that it just doesn't make sense to me. That's why it's tough to understand why. Like, it just doesn't. It's not fun for me to talk about.
Yeah, nobody wants
it
to
hurts
have this
my heart to an
conversation.
extent.
It needs to be had.
Always be talking about it.
But is it the right platform on ESPN to be having these conversations?
I would rather them have it there than have it be on MSNBC or Fox News or something like that.
Okay, because then you're going to get that slanted. Yeah.
Then it just goes straight from
that's
in
worse
the sports realm to a politicized spectrum, which is absolutely the biggest cesspool that it could be in. Like,
making money off of race is bad. Politicizing race is way fucking worse.
I mean, in many ways, it's one and the same. But like, is it the correct forum for it? Yes, but is it getting too much spotlight? I think an argument could be made, and is it being taken to? I think one of the arguments that we've been making here is that this whole situation should not be about race at all.
Yeah.
And the only reason why it's being talked about is because people are building up to be something that it isn't.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate, but this is the sort of thing that's going to happen when you have a new. Obviously, the WNBA is not new, but it
No,
is
but
it is new and popular
newly,
media.
yeah, newly popular.
Yeah, or to a wider audience than it was
Mm.
before. And they have to find ways to build stories as much as they can and to profit off of it now, because who knows if this is a flash in the pan. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
my 2 cents on it. I mean, it just kind of blows me away that it has become any part
Yeah,
of a race
why does
thing.
a play in basketball that is not a basketball play turn into something drastically different? Like we don't see this in the NBA typically. Like it doesn't like I mean there's not that many white dudes in the NBA. But like when they're having altercations, it doesn't typically turn into a white versus black thing. I don't understand why that dynamic is different. Like, these women are professional athletes. Stop treating them like they are dainty little women. Some of these women would beat the fuck out of a lot of men. Like,
Mhm.
we need to stop acting like that they're soft, different, and they're not as like they are professional athletes. Treat them as such.
Right.
So,
Oh, and just like that, Mike's gone. All right. Well, I think we're going to move off our WNBA topic while he's coming back in.
hi. I don't know what
There you
happened,
are.
but my screen was just like done.
Yeah. Bye. But yeah, so moving off of the WNBA topic, which sports world do we want to move into next?
Oh, let's talk some MMA real quick, and then we'll get the hell out of here. Actually, well, then we'll do NFL, then we'll get the hell out of here.
All righty. So MMA fights this weekend. Is that this last
So
weekend?
there were not any fight. I guess we could talk a little bit about the fights. Poirier got fucked up.
Yeah. He battled
Broke his nose,
through.
rib, tore his ACL.
Yeah. Yeah. Rough fight. And it's, probably the end of a career. Sad to kind of see that happen. But obviously, like he duked it out there to the end. So good on him. Did you have any comments about the scoring in that UFC?
Okay, so I don't know what. So the Paulo Costa fight, where he was given, I believe, multiple rounds.
Yeah, by one
Was
judge
yeah,
specifically. And it
yeah,
was an issue that had persisted throughout the night. Like
yeah.
it happened at least on 2 other instances in 2 other fights. I
And then
just think there's
Dana just
probably,
calls him out and says that guy should never fucking ref again.
well, I'm going to assume that he won't. Like
Probably not.
that's a real bad look for the New Jersey Gaming Commission or
Judge, I
whatever.
should say.
Yeah. So that was kind of wild, but a good night of fights. Makachev ends up winning again. But yeah, that was a rough fight there.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of thought that was the case. That Makachev's so damn good.
Mm.
Poirier battled. He made it to 5. I didn't think it was going to go to 5. I thought it was going to be done inside of 3. Huh?
Did you see the arm snap?
So I saw the cut up. I did not actually watch that fight.
Yeah, I watched that one live. That one was pretty crazy because you could see the arm twist and start to bend the wrong way. And he's talking to the ref, and he's like, "All right, if he's not gonna tap, I'm doing it.
I'm gonna
I'm
break
doing
this
it."
shit. I'm gonna break it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was great. That was fun to watch. But no, we do have some other interesting MMA coming up here shortly. Maybe.
Yeah.
It seems like the UFC has kind of started to not necessarily, I don't know if I want to say hide, but a lot of the social media posts and things like that promoting this upcoming fight with Chandler and the steroided up wonder from
Yeah,
or
he's
whatever.
definitely
Yeah.
on. He's 100% on roids.
He's at least on a lot of raw milk, just injecting it straight to the veins.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he's gotten pretty beefy. But all the promotion for it seems to, after this last weekend, just kind of gone away. You've had some weird tweets and stuff like that, I think, from Chandler. Like something might be happening with this fight.
Yeah, could not make the press conference. Unforeseen circumstances outside of Connor's control. Can we just stop the Conor McGregor saga? I'm done. I don't fucking care. I don't want to watch Conor McGregor fight anymore. I'm past it. I would rather watch Michael Chandler fight fucking anybody else. He's just as exciting as Conor McGregor was. I'm done with this whole Conor McGregor saga. He was great while he was great, and the fall off was quick. And it happens. Like I'm done with the Conor McGregor saga. I don't care. He can go act in fucking 14 other shit movies because Roadhouse was awful.
I liked it.
That movie sucked. And Conor McGregor was worse.
I mean, he was definitely a non-actor in a movie. I didn't mind Roadhouse. I thought it was all right. I didn't go into it expecting it to, win any awards by any means either. So I kind of got what I expected out of it.
You expected,
either way, like that is probably more of Conor's role now is stuff outside of the UFC. That being said, he's one of the biggest draws to the sport. If they can get him in there, they're going to get him in there. I think that this probably, assuming if he goes in here and loses this fight, which honestly I don't know. I mean, Chandler is a great fighter. He had some real fucking wars out there. But I mean, if this does not go well for McGregor, if he ends up losing, I feel like it's kind of the nail in the coffin at that point.
I don't even think they're going to fight. I think it's going to get pulled.
Again. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely that possibility based on some things that have happened recently. As far as, like I said, the social media posts kind of going away, things getting pulled, weird comments being made. Something that we're going to have to track here. Another thing outside of MMA, but more in the professional fighting world, though, also the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight originally got postponed due to a medical emergency that Mike Tyson had on a plane, and now it looks like it has been canceled altogether. This is a big L for everybody, I think.
100%. It's a
Netflix can't be happy.
L for Netflix.
Yeah,
that's the biggest loser in this entire thing because Netflix has started doing like these live events. Tom Brady roast, live event. And then obviously they keep it and they replay it. Like, by the way, if you haven't checked out Tom Brady roast, highly recommend. It's fucking hilarious. They make fun of, I think, basically every demographic in there. It's fantastic.
Yep.
But yeah, Netflix has got to be furious. Jake Paul, I don't know if you saw the little picture of him basically having a meltdown outside in the rain by his pool. Like, fuck, what am I going to do now? Like,
I saw, like, originally when it was postponed, I saw him talking about how he was upset for all, like, the undercard guys and things like that. And I have to do more research on this, but it's to my understanding that Tyson has basically said, like, he's still ready, willing to go. And
I don't know if he'll get cleared by the commission to fight is the problem.
And I guess again, haven't done enough research into this, but it's possible that Jake was the one to kind of be like, yeah, well, let's move on. Let's do something else. I mean, if anything, I think that it's building up to potentially create an even bigger fight if they do end up getting it back together at some point in time here in the future. Because now there's going to be the ability for Tyson to be like, oh, this bitch didn't want to fight me. Didn't want to fight the old man, blah, 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 that sort of stuff. Like this could be a whole bunch of
Tyson, by the way.
Yeah, it's a soft Mike Tyson. But I mean, this could be really good social media posturing by a guy who knows how to manipulate social media really well in Jake Paul. For all we know, we are all being manipulated in this. But unfortunately, this fight as of right now is canceled. It's a big bummer for everybody, myself for sure. I was definitely
looking forward to it for sure. I wanted to watch Mike Tyson fight, but more so than that, I wanted to watch Mike Tyson punch Jake Paul right in the fucking face. Like, I wanted to watch Mike Tyson hopefully bury Jake Paul. And you know what? I respect Jake Paul as a fighter. Like, he has proved to me that he can fight a little bit. He can box a little bit for sure. But it's Mike Tyson. I would never. I don't care how old I get. I would never fucking fight Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson in his prime,
85. He would kick my ass.
Unless he's like Muhammad Ali, can barely get around type situation.
Okay,
that's
sure.
Different. But that's not what we're talking about. Still. In his heyday, he was one of the most scary human beings inside and outside of the ring. To this day, he has got to be one of the most scary human beings, and he has calmed down a lot. He's
He's
got
what,
weed companies and
55?
stuff like that. Yeah, he's pretty fucking old. I mean, and the guy is still a beast. So yeah, that's honestly, I think what everyone was kind of hoping for was for Tyson to go out there and put the young whippersnapper in his place. But
I
as
gotta
of right
ask
now,
you.
not happening.
I gotta ask you a question.
Mhm.
You, the man who didn't get COVID, even being around COVID,
Mm.
gets a scorpion sting and just a little hand numbness. You're fucking fine. You're built different.
Mhm.
How many rounds could you last with Mike Tyson?
None. I would like in the first round, he'd put me down, no doubt.
Yeah, no fucking doubt, dude.
But
At 55, he'd beat the shit out of me.
I'm pretty sure I could like start emptying a fucking magazine into the dude's chest and with like a 9 mil, and he would keep
He'd still
coming.
hit you with a hook.
Yeah, he'd keep
Yeah.
coming. Yeah, there's the whole adage of like the bigger they are, the harder they fall type thing. That boy don't fall. Like that just is not happening. Like Tyson is the fucking man.
Yeah, and
And
always will be.
not someone to fuck with.
Yeah.
All righty. I want to move on from fighting and into our kind of bread and butter here, NFL.
Yeah, let's talk some NFL.
All right, cool. So big news for my team. Justin Jefferson
Hell
gets
yeah.
that contract. He gets the bag. And I am ecstatic with the contract.
I bet
If
you
you've
are.
listened to our shows at all previously, you know that I've worked myself to the point where I am comfortable with 37, 38, even up to $40 million a year annual average value. Just that the big thing is that it fully guaranteeing it is not something that's truly possible. And I don't think that the league would accept it. And it ends up being 35 mil a year average, 4-year contract. He's playing on this 5th-year option, rookie 5th-year option this year, and then we get 4 years of team security after that. And the guarantees in it are high for sure, and they've already added in the option for that restructure. Basically, if people don't know, you can restructure, or teams can restructure a player's contract without their permission, but the players like it because it ends up taking a whole bunch of money guaranteeing it. It just for accounting purposes, it gets taken off the books later. They've already put that in motion where that is going to take effect next year. So essentially, he's getting close to, I believe, 110 mil guaranteed out of that $140 million contract. But the way that the accounting works for the Vikings, they've got one dead cap year on the end of it for 9 million, I believe, and then his real money doesn't start hitting until I believe 2025 or 26. I think it's 26 when you actually start seeing substantial money come off the books. But the thing is, if you look at the salary cap right now and how much it grew this last offseason, we're getting Netflix to have games of football on. The streaming rights and streaming deals are going to be pushing this salary cap up exponentially. There's a
So
potential
high,
for
dude.
an 18th game being added in here. It's a very likely possibility. This contract in a year or two's time is going to feel pretty good.
And if the NFL brings the networks another game, you know what else they'll also go back to the board with? The contract about what the fucking rights are for these games, and they will get more fucking money. That they are obligated right now to provide however many games for 17 or 18 fucking weeks. If you add that extra game, the contract changes. They're gonna have to change it because it'll go up. Dude, what are you doing? Get out of here, dude.
What's interesting to me, and what I think it's really easy to say, holy shit, this is a lot of money, just look at the dollar amount, and by all means it absolutely is. What I think people and more tenured fans should probably start doing with less tenured fans is explaining percentage of the salary cap to people, because that's how we kind of have to look at this. Since the salary cap is not a stable number, it is increasing and increasing exponentially, especially as of late. What you need to start looking at is contract value compared, how much of the cap for a season is a player taking up. Up until Patrick Mahomes, we hadn't had a team win a Super Bowl with a quarterback making, I think, over like 13% of the salary cap or something like that. Now Patrick Mahomes has kind of broken that, but when you start looking at specific positions of value, quarterback, wide receiver, defensive end, things like that, these guys, cornerbacks, guys that get paid stupid money, reality is you got to look and see how much they're making against the salary cap. I think right now the highest non-quarterback salary cap hit is from Tyreek Hill, and that's like 14% of the cap this year. So you're not even hitting that kind of magic number of 15% where you're talking about a player taking up an excessive amount of the cap where it could be extremely detrimental to the team. Which is one of the complaints that I've had with Kirk Cousins is that his contract has been upwards of 15-16% of the team's entire salary cap. You're looking at Justin Jefferson, he's going to be getting that 13% in a couple years of the salary cap if things stay stable with the rise of the salary cap. And I don't expect them to do that. I expect it to be, again, be exponential. So that's why I think this is a fantastic contract. Look, JJ gets what he wants. He gets security. He gets basically multiple years of guaranteed money. And he's resetting that market, the highest non-quarterback or highest paid non-quarterback player in the NFL, which is fantastic for him. The team is going to be happy, especially with this contract value over the next couple of years. I'm super, super stoked about it. Now we can move on with the rest of the Vikings offseason. Looking forward to that.
And the other contracts didn't buoy that Justin Jefferson contract. We were kind of contemplating over the last couple of weeks. Like, I thought it was going to get to 37.5 with the other deals that were coming in. I thought it was going to balloon a little bit. It doesn't. That's great. And you get 4 years? I thought for sure you were only getting 3.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously the guarantees probably are why Justin goes with the 4-year contract, because the guaranteed money he's getting is outrageous. It's awesome for him. But I didn't think there's any way he was going to go over 3, but is able to do that with the massive guarantee that he's going to get. So it's great for him. It's great for the team. And honestly, I can't think of another player right now. There's going to be a lot of debate that I would want to make the highest paid player in the NFL outside of a quarterback other than Justin Jefferson. Because a couple of years ago, it would have easily been Aaron Donald, for sure. Aaron Donald was supposed to be that guy. But if you look around the league right now, we're almost into a soft reset. A lot of the old is out. There's a lot of new guys that are making names for themselves that are still very young in their career. Justin Jefferson is probably at the top of that list. You'll get some other people talking about different types of wide receivers, like a Jamar Chase could maybe reset the market. CeeDee Lamb. I don't think either one of those guys I would give more money to than Justin Jefferson got. Justin Jefferson's the best wide receiver in the league. And outside of that position, who else is making that kind of money? Left tackle? Probably not. D end? I doubt. I mean, you would have to pay an edge rusher a crazy amount, but every edge rusher just got paid within the last 2-3 years.
Yeah, that's where you're looking at it, I think, is edge rush, wide receiver. Those are the biggest impact guys realistically outside of that quarterback. I mean, you are getting, offensive linemen who are making silly money. But the next one is probably going to be Micah Parsons. He's under contract through 2025. But I would have to assume that he's going to quite possibly be the next guy to reset the market, him or Jamar Chase, which is probably going to happen here pretty soon. Look, CeeDee Lamb's statistics are relatively comparable to a Justin Jefferson's.
Yeah.
But that's with, Jefferson has had
Justin Jefferson is half the year. Yeah.
And whatnot. So Justin Jefferson goes out and puts up insane stats with Nick Mullins as the quarterback, there's a difference there. Talking with some Cowboys fans, they're kind of upset that the CeeDee Lamb deal wasn't done before JJ's, just because CeeDee's going to want what JJ got or more. And
he shouldn't, but
and
he'll ask for it.
Those Cowboys fans are in agreement that he doesn't deserve JJ's contract, but he's going to want it. And that's
Justin Jefferson is the best receiver in the league.
Yeah.
There's fucking one guy that I would even consider in the conversation, and it's not Jamar Chase. It's Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill and Justin Jefferson are the two best wide receivers in the league, because Tyreek Hill has proved he can do it with potentially the greatest of all time. And then a guy that we don't trust to throw the ball 50 yards down the field.
Yeah, and
Tyreek Hill just fucking gets open. Like that. Those are the standard.
Yeah, Tyreek has that kind of unicorn skill set where he just is kind of that, incredible blend of speed and ability to run routes and get open. Justin Jefferson all around to me is just like a fantastic receiver, and he's the top bar of that receiving class. But that's what Tyreek's probably the next guy, but the problem is Tyreek is getting older now. So that's why he is making as much money as he is down there in Miami. Is because he's so good and has been so good for so long. But yeah, it'll probably be Chase and Micah Parsons, I think, next year duking it out for that new highest paid non-quarterback.
Yeah.
Other NFL news with my team. We got white unis.
Yeah.
Fucking love it. Pretty
Dude, they look dope. I like those. You know what? And they didn't overdo the aesthetics. It's simple. It's kind of fucking plain, but it looks dope because they didn't try to overdo it.
Yeah,
the white with a little purple accent. Fucking perfect.
They added the things that they did that are special with it are very small. You really have to look to kind of notice these things. There's silver Celtic knotting in certain spots of the uniform that you can't see unless you are up on it or you know that it's there. They added a silver stripe to the helmet. The Vikings helmet has never had a stripe on it before, but it is so close to that white color where it's like, unless you're really trying to look for it, you're not noticing it. There are, little wisps that are meant to look like icicles on the numbers that you wouldn't really notice because it looks very similar to the current number scheme or font that the Vikings have. I think it's really, really clean uniform. I love it. The fact that the NFL is allowing those extra helmets is really what kind of allowed the team to do this. There was something apparently that they have been talking about for 2 years, without the helmet combination. And then once the helmet got authorized, everything accelerated and they were able to come up with this. This is, this Winter Warrior white uniform that they have. I would love to go to that game, the whiteout game that they end up having. We'll see if I can make that happen sometime in the future. Probably not, but that would be pretty dope. Other NFL news, Christian McCaffrey also gets a big contract. Well-deserved. Yeah. One of the best running backs in the league. Good to see that. We have Xavier Howard getting in trouble. You see this story?
I did not see this story. What did Xavier Howard do? I heard Xavier a story about a guy that was signed by the Steelers that probably should not be in the league anymore, but I digress. Go ahead.
So Xavier Howard, he sent explicit images of a woman to her son, who is a minor.
Whoa! What the fuck?
Because the mother refused to get an abortion, according to court filings. The allegation made Thursday in a lawsuit filed last year by a woman who is not a woman who is not the teenager's mother. Excuse me. The woman who filed the suit accuses Howard, 30 years old, of secretly recording them having sex and sharing the recordings with others. She says that Howard also shared, without consent, sex tapes that she had agreed to make, and that he did this because she refused to get an abortion.
So he's blackmailing her, tried to blackmail her into getting an abortion because he didn't want to pay child support. What the fuck?
And that's my misunderstanding. I thought he was sending it to her son, her 15-year-old son. Apparently,
if it was her, fuck Xavier Howard has got to go. He still should probably go. That's a scum. Don't ever fucking do that. I don't know why.
Innocent until proven guilty.
Sure. Yes.
He's not been, convicted of this yet, but it's not a good look for a guy who was very close to signing a contract with the Texans. There was a little bit of scuttlebutt with the Vikings, especially from my side, because of the Brian Flores connection there. I would have to assume he will not be getting a contract this offseason at this point, unless this is taken care of real quick.
I can assure you the Texans are not signing up to bring him in based on their history.
Yeah, not a great look. Other than that, there's Brandon, another not a good look for the NFL. Brandon McManus, the kicker, he recently got released. Let me pull this up here real quick. Why is this happening? Yep. Dan Quinn discusses the release of kicker Brandon McManus, who was the only kicker on the Commanders. He's being accused of sexual assault.
Jesus Christ,
So,
man.
He was released from the team, and the team was then without a kicker at all. I believe that they went and signed who's this? Ramiz Ahmed, former Green Bay Packer kicker, who was also playing for the Birmingham Stallions. So either way, the Commanders did a lot of good things this offseason, and maybe getting rid of McManus was a good thing as well, assuming that these things are true. But their kicking situation might be suffering currently. So that's a bunch of the good things about the NFL that are not so good.
I got another one. I got one fucking more of those before we actually get to some good news. And both of these things are happening in my division. Cameron Sutton is signing a 1-year deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Cameron Sutton, if you are not aware, has had some legal issues with the fact that he can't keep his goddamn hands off of women and the fact that he is violent. So there's that. The Steelers are bringing in Cameron Sutton. I cannot wait for a Steelers fan to try to throw Deshaun Watson in my face, so I can immediately pull up Cam Sutton and Ben Roethlisberger and tell them to eat a shit sandwich. But yeah, so that another move that doesn't make sense because Cameron Sutton's not that good. But
he was better back in the day, but he's kind of cooked right now. And obviously, he played with a Lions secondary that was terrible and didn't make them better. So,
but good news coming out of the AFC North Division. Barry Stefanski, 2024. They both get new deals. I'm fucking pumped, dude. So when we have all these moments in the NFL, right? The draft is like Christmas. And then, free agency is always exciting. I don't think I've ever been more excited about the Browns than the fact that we just fucking extended contracts to a head coach and a GM at the same time who have been working together the entire tenure that they've been here. The Browns have never had this level of stability since they have come back, and I am so fucking happy about it. I am so pumped. Listen. There's a narrative that's still being pushed on Twitter. I was actually in an argument with some guy, Browns Forum, or whoever the fuck this douchebag is the other day, saying that Stefanski's nothing but a figurehead. There's head coaches all over the field, and Schwartz and fucking Vrabel. No disrespect to Coach Schwartz, no disrespect to Coach Vrabel. They're excellent coaches, but they both got fired, and Stefanski got an extension. I don't care if Stefanski's a figurehead because I don't think that you maybe know what the role of a head coach is. The role of a head coach is to coach all the other coaches, to make them do their job. He does not need to be hands-on micromanaging everything. So this is a brilliant move for the Browns organization. You re-sign a 2-time coach of the year. Andrew Berry, an excellent young fucking GM who has proven he can find winners. Like, this is such a fucking fantastic move. I am pumped beyond belief. The Browns are not in perpetual fucking misery and turnover every 3 years. I have never been so excited in my entire life for the Browns.
And that just goes to show you, if you're getting that hyped up about a head coach and GM signing, the Browns have been in some dire straits in recent history. So this is a good thing for the Browns. Look, I like Stefanski. I'm a fan of him, obviously coming over from my organization, and wish him the best. And we took, an assistant of you guys and brought him in as our GM. So obviously I think that we are intermingling some of our systems and things like that together with good people and good personnel. Other news in the NFL, and I think probably the last thing that we'll kind of get into here, the chain gang. Is it needed? The NFL is going to be testing out a new GPS program this preseason. I believe it is actually being used in some of the other football leagues, whether that's the AFL or something like that.
Is it the US? What is the name of this motherfucking league now that it combined the AFL, USFL, XFL? What the fuck is it called? The USFL, United States Football League, or
That
some
sounds
shit
right.
now?
It sounds right, but I could be absolutely wrong with that because honestly, I haven't really watched it.
Hold on.
Um,
UFL. Got it. Found it.
right. Uh,
UFL.
Either way, they are going to be the NFL is going to be testing out a whole bunch of different GPS based stuff. Um, and I'll just read some of the quotes here off of ESPN. In a game that flexes technological advancements from GPS tracking for players on the field to animated Nickelodeon broadcasts, index cards epitomize the NFL's antiquated measuring processes dating more than 100 years. At the league meetings in March, the NFL owners approved the use of optimal tracking in the preseason, a system which, after the ball is spotted by hand, notifies officials instantly if a first down was gained. At the end of the preseason, they will make a decision for a full rollout in 2024, according to multiple league sources. Owners also approved expanded testing of skeletal tracking systems designed by sports technology company Hawkeye Innovations, which adds cameras to stadiums to track players, officials, and the ball. In the preseason, the NFL will provide back judges with smartwatches assisted by the skeletal system that include basic game details and will vibrate when there is delay of game, according to multiple league sources. So there is this conversation in recent history about MLB and the robot
Robo-umps.
umps. Yeah. And is that good for the game or not? We are going to be seeing a lot of this here, at least in the preseason for the NFL. Now, my personal thought on the chain gang thing is, why the fuck do I care? If the ball is being hand placed by the referee, regardless, which is where the biggest issue comes into play typically, is where do those refs place the ball after the player's been downed? Then I don't care. The chain gang is relatively static, and I don't recall too many times that where the chain gang is really has created too many issues. And if there is an issue, it gets figured out pretty damn quick. It's the placement of that ball that kind of matters to me. Which it sounds like this Hawkeye technology might actually, if it's tracking the ball appropriately, it might be able to say, hey, the ball's in the wrong spot. The problem is, how quickly can someone on the field
Yeah,
be
that's
truly notified of this? That's the concern. We already have a replay system that sometimes takes for fucking ever. So we need something extremely quick to be able to figure this out. Also, when you're talking about the end of a game, seconds left on the clock, the offense is rushing to get lined up again. Are we going to have some smartwatch buzzing a ref where now, wait, I've got to pause?
hey, stop. I got to slow down. I got to move this ball 1 inch fucking forward.
Right. That's the concern with me. I'm all for GPS stuff and things like that to make the game's officiating more accurate, but there has to be a give and take here, especially when it comes down to crucial clutch time moments like this in a game. It'll be interesting to see how this works. All this stuff, overall, I'm sure not 100% of it is going to get accepted. But certain things like, hey, if there's a false start or something like that, I'd be interested to see what the metrics behind that are, because players are going to have slight movements. They're not going to be absolute statues on that like offensive line or, not doing a false start. But if it's able to have some degree of certainty that this player did move enough to be a false start or delay of game, like they talk about, that's something that the refs should be able to tell anyways. But honestly, if I'm sitting there and I have a buzzer in my pocket or on my wrist go off while I'm watching all the other players to tell me, hey, it is delay a game right now, then that makes their job a little bit easier, makes it, less likely that they are going to miss a delay of game call, which seems like it happens pretty regularly. We see double zeros on those clocks a lot, and then
Remember that
the play goes off.
It's their clock, 0 down. Oh, okay. Ball is being snapped there. Good. So that will change. It'll be interesting to see how many more penalties get called if this is the case. But I'm in favor of more technology in the NFL. We begged for it for years. Like, we wanted a replay. After we got replay, we're like, oh, okay, this replay fucking sucks. speed this shit up. Like we were lobbying on our show, like just institute what the XFL is doing for replay. Give the guy the camera. He's got his own fucking headset. He talks through it. We track it. Like more technology is a good thing in terms of the NFL. I do worry that it will be a little too much. However, if the NFL does things like they always do, they won't adequately use the technology. So we'll maybe get a nice little version of what could be, because the tracking of the players and all of those things, like, oh my God, Amari Cooper just fucking slightly leaned forward, or like he's moving his hands. That's something that we don't need, and that I don't know what the technology is that they are specifically using, how sensitive it is. But more technology would absolutely be good if it's used the right way and it speeds shit up. But I know we like watching football. What we don't necessarily love, though, is all the bullshit in between. We want to watch the football and the plays. And sure, I'll listen to fucking Tony Romo talk about whatever dumb shit Tony Romo is talking about for a minute while things get reset. But I'd rather not. Like, I want to watch the game. We saw this with Major League Baseball. They sped the game up, took out all the bullshit in between pitches. And you know what? More people watched. More people liked it. It worked. Like, if we can get that, I'm all in favor of this and more technology in the NFL. So.
Yeah. Well, how often do we get what we want, though? That's the problem. Look, if there's a time to test it, it is the preseason. Maybe a little wristwatch that will buzz when there is a delay of game will help us, know for sure when things happen. Like we won't have to have the crowd counting down the clock, so that way Nathaniel Hackett's team gets the ball off.
When the fuck to snap the ball.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
So crazy. That was so crazy. I forget that.
It was hilarious to watch it live. It really was. And then having to explain to the lady who was a Broncos fan and be like, this is very embarrassing for your team right now.
Yeah,
they don't. This is simple, and they can't do it, so the crowd's having to help. But I digress. All right, brother, you got anything else that you want to go over?
I don't, man. I'm gonna fucking house this sandwich and go upstairs. I'm gonna go smoke and relax, enjoy the rest of my evening. But no, I'm good, man. I'm ready to get out of here if you are.
Yeah, I think I'm ready to go.
Hell yeah, guys! This is the Lineman Lounge. I'm Mike. That is Evo. All of the things that we do are underneath the No Sleeves Network banner. So you got, I guess, top right corner for everybody watching. No, that's the No Sleeves Network. You can go to nosleevesnetwork.com. You can get links to this podcast, our other podcast called Talk, a couple of gaming channels, blogs. I also need to get a little update going to get Byron's work up there, some of his photography, and the movie that came out. So we'll get all that under control. But if you want to interact with this show, go to Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, anywhere on social media you can find us. If you want to watch the show, go to YouTube. Please like, subscribe. And if you want to listen, any podcast platform, you can find us. But with that, we're going to get the fuck out of here. Evo, give people one last word.
Check your shoes.
Check your shoes. Fuck that. We're getting out of here. I'm Mike. That's Evo. Love you. See you next week. See you.